Hey, Kaz Wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's Impact Wrestling from August 25th, 2022, recorded in Chicago, Illinois. So last week we found out what the main event of the biggest show of the year will be, as Eddie Edwards was able to outlast five other men to win a chance to fight for the Impact World title at Bound for Glory, which should be against Josh Alexander, the Impact World Champion, but you never know if Josh will be the champion still by then. We've also got the undefeated Masha Slamovich setting her sights on Jordynne Grace and her Knockouts title. But tonight we've got Knockouts tag titles on the line, as Vexed, which is the champions, that's Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo, will be defending their titles for the first time against the Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace and her partner Mia Yim, who almost won the title from Grace at Emergence. So this was maybe a little weird that Deonna Purrazzo would agree to this match so easily, but might be part of her plan to get Jordynne Grace's uh, Knockouts title away from her and become champ again. So as usual, we'll start the review here with BTI before the Impact. It's a great way to remember everything that happened last week and previewing this week's show. BTI is hosted by Josh Matthews and Gia Miller. Meanwhile, AXS TV had 60 minutes of the best of Sabu Impact matches, where Ibis and RVD were on there, and I was even wearing my RVD shirt today. So anyway, the first recap on BTI is the main event from last week, where Eddie Edwards took advantage of Rich Swann and Bandito fighting each other to end up winning the six-man elimination match. Now Eddie Edwards will fight for the Impact World title October 7th at Bound for Glory. The BTI exclusive match later on this week is a little bit of a weird one, as Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice, the Swingers Dungeon, takes on Bullet Club's two youngest members, Ace Austin and Hikuleo. So that'll be later on, just before Impact starts. Now we see highlights from the amazing X Division four-way match last week, where Black Taurus was able to defeat Trey Miguel, Laredo Kid, and Ray Horace. So strangely, Crazy Steve was on commentary for that match, and he said that Rosemary had forgotten to feed the beast Black Taurus. So maybe we'll be seeing Black Taurus along with that big stuff with Crazy Steve talking about him and the big win in the four-way match. Maybe Taurus will get an X Division title shot soon, which would definitely be a tough matchup for the champion Speedball Mike Bailey. Now we see the ending from last week's match, where Killer Kelly defeated Savannah Evans by tapping her out. Killer Kelly was acting super strange within this match, kind of perverted, both from causing and taking pain. And then for the second straight week, Savannah Evans almost broke someone's neck in this match. She really needs to start being careful, Savannah Evans does. That's was scary. First it was Alisha Edwards, and now she dropped Killer Kelly right on her head. So anyway, the next recap was another really good match from last week, where Speedball Mike Bailey successfully defended the X Division title against Bullet Club's Chris Bay, where the the X Division and Impact is really strong right now, and with their champion Mike Bailey being one of the best wrestlers in the world so far in 2022. So great stuff. The X Division is so strong right now. I wish they had X Division tag titles. That's how strong and deep it is. Anyway, next we see the end of the match from last week, where Heath was able to defeat Kenny King. All of Honor No More then rushed the ring, and it looked like they finally got their hands on Heath after 6 weeks of sneak attacks. However, Eddie Edwards stopped the attack, and he wanted PCO to do some kind of big move. However, PCO was either confused or showing some kind of compassion about the 6-on-1 beatdown. This moment of hesitation let the Honor No More Hunter Heath get away, the real Triple H. So this week's social media top 5 is number 5, Heath escaping Honor No More, like we just talked about. Number 4 was Jessica will debut tonight. That's the alter ego of Havok, and she'll be in the debut match against Alisha Edwards later on. Speedball Mike Bailey retaining against Chris Bay was number 3. Number 2 was Kushida, Shelley, and Sabin now have their team name, which is Time Machine. I love that. It's a split between Shelley and Kushida's team name, Time Splitters, and Shelley and Sabin's team name, Motor City Machine Guns, and I love it. Anyway, number 1 social media top 5 number 1 moment was Eddie Edwards taking on Josh Alexander at Bound for Glory is announced. So the clapback moment of the week was some weird meme about Tasha Steelz sending it to Killer Kelly. They were staring each other down last week, which led up to that Savannah Evans match where Killer Kelly took down Savannah Evans. So the Iceman intel for this week is that Eddie Edwards is getting that world title shot at Bound for Glory. But don't forget, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven also have a tag title shot as well. We don't know when that match is going to be, but we do find out later tonight in Impact when that match is going to be. Macklin. He talks about Macklin pinned Moose last week in the elimination 6-way main event, and Moose is beyond mad at Macklin backstage. So their alliance might be over with. We'll also touch on that during this week's episode. But it's time for this week's BTI exclusive match, and I definitely love Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice's entrance. The music is great in and of itself, but Zicky Dice then pushes Swinger out on a little like cart with wheels with the bungee cords on all four sides, and it's made to look like the carts that they had in WrestleMania 3, where you remember Andre the Giant was like carted out and everyone else during that event in little like mini rings. So I absolutely love that. Now Bullet Club comes out, Ace Austin and Hikuleo, two of the youngest members of Bullet Club. Ace is able to get the better of Swinger right away in this tag match, and then he tags in Hikuleo, the big guy here, scares Johnny Swinger right out of the ring. So he tags in Zicky Dice. He gets taken out as well. Ace Austin tags back in, hitting a nice spiral kick or something along those lines. Zicky then rolls out of the ring, and Ace kicks him in the face from the apron, but Swinger is able to grab Ace Austin's leg, allowing Zicky Dice to take control. Zicky then hits punches for a 2 count. Ace fights back, but Zicky Dice hits a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker for another 2 count. Dice then applies a chin lock, but Ace Austin's able to get out. Dice slams him down by the hair, pulling his hair here to keep control. Swinger now tags in. They hit a double team on Ace Austin for a 2 count. Dice now tags back in, and another double team, this time a back elbow. Then Dice hits a Northern Light suplex with a bridge, almost winning the match. What am I even watching? Jay White would be livid if he saw this performance from Ace Austin. So Swinger now kicks Ace out of the ring for Zicky Dice to take some cheap shots, and Swinger's dungeon is completely out Bullet Clubbing Bullet Club here. So Swinger now works a cravat on the neck as the crowd cheers for Ace Austin to do anything, stop getting beat up by the Swinger's dungeon. So Swinger now pulls the hair to keep control and keep Ace Austin isolated. Then Swinger's dungeon, he's stuck in the Swinger's dungeon corner. Zicky Dice takes more cheap shots, then tags in, but Ace Austin's able to evade their double team this time and tag in the big man Hikuleo. Hikuleo comes in with a big lariats and a big boot. Dice then saves Swinger from a choke slam, but Hikuleo hits the choke slam on Zicky Dice instead. Swinger then hits some body punches, but Hikuleo is not affected at all by that. Then he applies the Tongan death grip taught to him by his father Ming. So Dice then is the legal man. However, Ace Austin tags in and he hits the fold, his finisher, for the 1-2-3. The winners of this match by pinfall, Bullet Club. So wow, how far down has the card on the card has Ace Austin fallen? He's wrestling BTI matches against Swinger's Dungeon, where Ace Austin's getting destroyed by Swinger's Dungeon, which is ridiculous. Ace Austin needs to get back to New Japan or something. This isn't working. He's fallen way down the card. So anyway, now this week's episode of Impact starts. Again, this is from August 25th, 2022, recorded in Chicago, Illinois. Next week we'll be in Dallas. So we see a long recap video from last week's main event. It also started, the video did, with Vincent, if you remember, talked to Josh Alexander before the main event, telling Josh Alexander that Eddie Edwards would be the #1 contender, which ended up being true. We also saw a few weeks ago that Eddie Edwards had talked to Josh Alexander about what's on the other side of the mountain once you fall off the top, becoming a former Impact champion, basically telling Josh that he didn't want him to end up just like Eddie did. Anyway, we'll see in the coming weeks if Eddie was being sincere or just trying to get in Josh Alexander's head. After the opening video now, the lights go out, and that could be multiple people, but this time it's going to be Mia Yim, and she makes her really cool entrances with the dancers. So, wow, we're going to start tonight's match, or tonight's Impact out with the Knockouts Tag title match. This should be a good one, as long as Chelsea Green isn't in the ring for too long. She's really bringing Deonna Purrazzo's match quality down to her level instead of the other way around, raising her up to Deonna's level, which is definitely unfortunate. So then the Knockouts champion comes comes out to join her partner Mia Yim. Jordynne Grace and Mia Yim have newfound respect for each other after they had an epic match for the title 2 weeks ago at Emergence. So Vexed, the tag team champions, come out next. Chelsea Green does her shush thing, even though there's no shush in the Vexed theme music. So Deonna Purrazzo's there with her. Of course, this should be interesting. The Iceman intel from last week was hinting that Deonna Purrazzo wanted to be champ again, which made me think that this is all leading up to Deonna trying to get a title shot. But you can't forget about Masha Slamovich. So it's definitely interesting to see where this is going to go. But don't forget, the tag titles, the Knockouts tag titles are on the line in this match. So Jordynne Grace and Chelsea Green are going to start the match. Jordynne gets a headlock takeover. Chelsea then kicks Jordynne and tags out to Deonna. So instantly the pace and quality improves. Jordynne gets a big strike to make Deonna tag out. Then things slow right back down instantly. Jordynne gets caught with a surprise double team here, giving Vex control. So Deonna kind of went out of the ring, then came right back to hit a double team. Jordynne then blocks a move and tags in Mia Yim, who takes down Chelsea with 2 drop kicks. Then Mia hits a cannonball senton in the corner for a 2 count. Mia then hits a chop, but Chelsea counters the next move and is able to tag in Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna takes control, and Vex then use quick tags to isolate Mia Yim in the Vex corner here, also hitting double teams. Mia tries to fight out of their corner, but Deonna's able to take her down and hit a nice short arm lariat. So Mia's in trouble now as the crowd's cheering for her to get out of a chin lock, but Mia is able to get out, but Chelsea tags right in, keeping Mia Yim isolated. So Deonna Purrazzo tags back in. Mia counters both of them here, and Deonna crashes her shoulder into the ring post as Jordynne Grace now tags in. Grace hits a nasty knee to the face, followed by a spine buster. Chelsea's just barely able to come in and break up the pin in time. Deonna then rushes Jordynne into the Vex corner instantly, showing that she does have good strength, taking the very strong Jordynne over to the Vex corner. Chelsea Green tags in. So does Mia Yim, however, right after that, who comes in hitting a nice Saito suplex for a 2 count. Grace now tags back in. So does Deonna Purrazzo. Then Deonna hits a top rope spear, but Mia leaps off the top rope, taking out Deonna right after that. Then Jordynne slams Chelsea down, who rolls out of the ring. Jordynne and Mia both dive to the outside. Jordynne is successfully in knocking down Deonna Purrazzo, but Chelsea Green counters Mia Yim's dive with a forearm to the face in midair. Back in the ring now, Chelsea hits Jordynne from behind, allowing Deonna to take control. Vex then hit their double team finisher on Jordynne. It's called the Doom Collector, and it's like a pendulum slam type deal for the 1, 2, 3. The winners of this match and still Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Vexed. So, wow, Deonna just pinned the Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace, giving her a legitimate claim to a title shot. And that match was fine. The ending was basic. It felt a little bit rushed and bizarre. The ending was with that whole diving out, one person hitting it, the other not. At least it's something different, but it was feeling like it was just rushed. The end was rushed for sure. So, but the story here is good with now Masha Slamovich and Deonna Purrazzo coming for Jordynne Grace and her title. And even Jordynne Grace's only ally, Mia Yim, she wants the title as well. So things are all surrounding Jordynne Grace at this point, heading into the biggest match of biggest event of the year in about 6 weeks' time. Bound for Glory, October 7th. So in the back now, we see Violent by Design. Eric Young is there with Joe Doering and Diener, and Eric Young says, "The sickness showed us something. It showed us that it's powerful and we are not in control. But we united and pushed it back. At Emergence, we won. But the sickness is it in remission or lying dormant, gaining strength? Now you call yourself Time Machine. Time is important to us. Past, present, and future, we will be there. The faster you realize the world doesn't belong to you, the faster that you'll learn your time is up." So then we go to a commercial break. I still don't know exactly what Eric Young's talking about when he talks about the sickness, but Time Machine, what we do know out of this is that Time Machine's going to have to be careful tonight. Eric Young definitely seems like he's up to something. So when Impact returns from the break, we see now Vincent again for the second straight week is talking to Josh Alexander, and they have a match tonight. So Vincent says, Typical Impact Wrestling, man. Just like I said last week, you need to start making friends around here. It's just like them to put us up against each other. It's nothing personal, just business. I sympathize with you. And then Josh Alexander says, well, the only one that needs sympathy is you after I drop you on your head with a C4 tonight. And then after that, the announcers flat out tell us it's just mind games and that it's not sincere. So why would they do that and not just let it play out? Unless they're purposely trying to steer you down the wrong path. But if not, just stay quiet about it and let the audience think about things for themselves. Thank you. So now Honor No More's music hits, and it'll be Mike Bennett coming out with Maria. They kiss on the entrance ramp here, and the crowd boos them out of the building. And I thought, was Maria dressed to wrestle? But no, she's got like high heeled boots on. So this is going to be a singles match. Bullet Club's Machine Gun Karl Anderson now comes out to be his opponent, holding the Impact Tag titles and the Never Openweight title from New Japan. So this match will decide if Maria will be able to be ringside or not in the eventual Impact Tag title match between Good Brothers, the champions, and the OGK, Taven and Bennett from Honor No More. So Maria has her full booty out in full force tonight. There's a long history of Karl Anderson liking Maria, so you can probably expect something like that kind of distraction later on. Anyway, Karl takes control right away. Mike battles back with some big strikes, and Anderson's able to take Bennett down with a big punch here. Karl then hits a back elbow and clotheslines Mike right out of the ring, and the crowd goes wild, which is so weird that Bullet Club are pure baby faces in Impact, despite being pure heels in New Japan. And on a weird side note, the OGK, Taven and Bennett on NWA are complete baby faces. So what a weird wrestling world it is. We go to an ad break after Bennett got knocked out of the ring. And now when we return, Mike Bennett has a chin lock applied in the ring. So we see during the break, Mike hit a big forearm outside of the ring to take control. Now live, Mike hits another big forearm and throws Karl into the corner hard. Then Bennett runs off the ropes 10 times in a row just to poke the eyes, using up his stamina stupidly here. But that was a way to mock Bullet Club, who are known for doing like quadruple flips in the back rakes and stuff like that. So Karl then counters a back elbow, or with a back elbow. Then Karl Anderson, it's two lariats and a claymore kick, and Mike is in trouble because his stamina was used up stupidly with with that eye poke. But Mike's able to counter the next move, hitting a forearm for a 2 count. Karl then counters into the spine buster for a 2 count right after that. So pretty good match here, decent at least. Maria now gets up on the apron. We were expecting this, but Taven now runs out. Maria was just distracting the referee. Taven's able to kick Karl Anderson in the head, but now Doc Gallows now walks out, the other Good Brother, and he choke slams Taven right on the apron. So Bennett tries a roll up on Anderson from behind for a 2 count, but then Karl is able to get up and hit the gun stun, getting the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Karl Anderson. And wow, now Maria will be banned from ringside during that eventual title match. Whenever that match happens, we're not quite sure yet, but Gallows looks to be in good shape. It doesn't look injured anymore, so it should be soon. Now we immediately go to the back, and we see the Good Brothers back there running to TNA official Scott D'Amore. So Scott says, it's time for you to defend those titles. So next week, you will be defending those titles. Karl Anderson says, we'll gladly defend the titles because we're the best tag team in the world. Gallows then kisses up to the boss even more, and then they leave. So, wow, it's just so weird to see the Bullet Club as ultra good guys or whatever. But you could just take it as the Good Brothers are just being fake AF to get something in return. So after a commercial break, now we see the ending of the Killer Kelly match against Savannah Evans, where Evans tapped out. Now we're in the back where a doctor is in the trainer's room looking at Savannah Evans, and the doctor says there might be damage. We have to do more tests. Tasha Steelz was there and it tells the doctor to take care of my girl. Then Tasha Steelz is interviewed by Gia Miller. Tasha says, well, she's not doing well because of that greedy Freddy Krueger strawberry shortcake looking. And then Killer Kelly comes from behind and chokes out Tasha Steelz. Killer Kelly lets go before Tasha passes out, and Kelly says, next time it won't be from behind. You'll see me coming. And then the segment ends. So that was pretty cool. It looked legit. It was like a legit, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it felt more real than like other like oh, he's attacking him or she's attacking him from behind, like kind of deal. Like this looked pretty cool where she sneaked up and applied a chokehold. So that was pretty cool. I'm guessing maybe Killer Kelly and Tasha Steelz will have a match next week, but nothing is announced. So maybe it'll be later on in the month. But now Brian Myers comes out holding on to the Digital Media Championship, and he'll be on commentary for this next match. So next, someone I've never heard of or seen before comes out. His name is Jason Hutch. So then we're told that he's the latest gut check competition winner. Over 100 wrestlers were there, and Lance Storm and Johnny Bravo were the judges that decided Jason Hutch would be the winner, getting himself a developmental contract with Impact Wrestling. So I'm excited to see what Jason Hutch brings to the table here. And his opponent is going to be Bhupinder Gujjar, which you could have guessed because Brian Myers is still locked in a feud with Gujjar, despite beating him while cheating at the digital media title match at Emergence. But Brian Myers was told last week by Gujjar that it's not over with between Bhupinder Gujjar and Brian Myers. So Gujjar and Hutch, maybe Jason Hutch here, is going to be in the match with Gujjar. They tie up. Gujjar hits a huge shoulder tackle, then a flying back elbow, and then 4 big moves in a row here. Jason Hutch is just barely able to kick out. Not a good start for his Impact career. Hutch then rakes the eyes to take control, hitting a big chop, but this just ends up firing up Gujjar, who hits a chop back. Then Hutch evades an attack, hitting a big kick here, but Hutch rolls into the ring, right into a spine buster from Bhupinder Gujjar, who then goes up to the middle rope. Gujjar leaps off, hitting the gargoyle spear and getting the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Bhupinder Gujjar. So wow, what was the point of debuting a guy to lose that badly? He got destroyed. Like he almost lost in the first couple seconds there. He got 6 moves in a row. I get that he's going to be the lowest guy on the totem pole just getting signed, but holy crap, you couldn't debut a guy any worse if you tried. So anyway, Brian Myers now gets in the ring with a microphone and says, gets in Gujjar's face and says, well, I'm busy right now, so I don't know when I can give you another title shot. Well, actually, how about now? And then Brian hits Gujjar with the microphone and gets a fake 3 count that he counts himself. Gujjar then gets up and hits a gargoyle spear of all things on Myers and then gets a fake 3 count of his own. So the 2-month-long feud that nobody asked for, Bhupinder Gujjar and Brian Myers for the digital media title, will go on, but maybe we'll eventually get a good match out of it. Anyway, Gujjar now leaves this segment with the digital media title. So even though it was a fake 3 count, um, I don't have much more to say about that other than Bhupinder Gujjar and Brian Myers, a 2-month-long title feud. Too long is probably the correct thing to say. However, anyway, in the back next to a church door or something, Gail Kim's chilling there talking to some random guy, and then Vexed, Deonna Purrazzo, and Chelsea Green walk up, and Vexed explained to Gail Kim that, well, we're winning everything, so you can stop playing favoritism and name Deonna Purrazzo the number 1 contender. Gail Kim then says, well, you do deserve a title shot, but so does Masha Slamovich. So next week, Deonna Purrazzo will take on Masha Slamovich. The winner gets a title shot at Bound for Glory. Then we go to commercial. So, wow, that was huge news for next week. Masha against Deonna sounds like an incredible match, worthy of a pay-per-view event. So that's going to be on Impact next week, probably in the main event, as we're told the other big match, the title match, is going to be starting Impact next week. So I'm guessing the main event will be an awesome number 1 contenders match between Masha Slamovich and Deonna Purrazzo, and it's going to be really, really good. So I'm not even quite sure who's going to win. Maybe Deonna will cheat the win, and then there goes Masha Slamovich undefeated streak. But Masha might also get a big win here to head into a title match at Bound for Glory. Either way, that should be some good stuff. Now, when we return from Impact, from the break, I should say, Gujjar's in the back, looking at the digital media title. Scott Armstrong was the referee, and he says, well, Brian has been being a jerk, but that wasn't a legitimate win for the title. Gujjar says, I know I'm not the champion, but if Brian wants the belt, he's got to take it from me. So Gujjar walks off, and the referee shakes his head. Even more stuff with the Gujjar Brian Myers feud. Anyway, Vincent now comes out looking hyped up for this match against the Impact World Champion. No other Honor No More members have accompanied Vincent. There's a few Honor No More fans in the crowd, but once Josh Alexander comes out, the fans go wild. He's got way more fans. So Josh Alexander, the Impact World Champion, has about 6 weeks to get the Bound for Glory in one piece, and it has to start tonight by trying to avoid a potential 6-on-1 beatdown from the Honor No More faction. So Josh Alexander hits an overhead suplex right away, and Vincent then baits Josh over to the ropes, hot-shotting Josh across them. Vincent then hits a Russian leg sweep and a swanton bomb of all things. Josh is just barely able to kick out. So wow, Vincent almost pinned the champion in a minute. Josh must have something on his mind to almost get beaten that easily. Vincent now hits a scoop slam and some stomps in the corner. The crowd's chanting walking weapon for Josh to do something and stop getting beaten up by Vincent so much. Vincent then hits another big strike and is now stopping the talk trash. That was a mistake as it fires up Josh Alexander, who hits a big German suplex. Then Josh quickens the pace, hitting a couple hip tosses and a big boot. Vincent's able to block the C4 spike here, but Josh applies an ankle lock immediately right after that. Vincent gets to the ropes, but now his ankle's damaged. Vincent counters the next attack and applies a guillotine, but Josh is able to hit a deadlift Falcon Arrow to get out of this. Then Josh lifts Vincent up, hitting the C4 spike and getting the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Josh Alexander. So wow, another short Impact match for Josh, who took out Shera in minutes in his last Impact match. So we did see at Emergence, it took over 30 minutes for Alex Shelley to defeat Josh Alexander, but on these Impact matches, he is making short work of everyone. So Josh Alexander doesn't get out of the ring quick enough, and Eddie Edwards is able to come out. So looks like he's alone for now anyway. Eddie Edwards says, "Yet another victory. Congratulations. It has been decided. You and I will face each other at Bound for Glory for the Impact World title. There's no escaping it. But just because we're opponents, that doesn't mean we can't be allies. There's a larger war behind the scenes taking place. They want to grind us down until there's nothing left. Then they'll just move on to the next poor soul. I've chosen my side. Honor No More has stood up to this industry and Impact Wrestling. These fans have clearly chosen to support the machine because they love to watch great men and women reduced to their own level. The last question is, which side will you be on, Josh? There's no reason that you and I can't stand together in this war, even with the title match at Bound for Glory. And if we do that, we can go to battle, and no matter who walks out with the title, we'll both win. But Josh, if you don't do this, there will be," and then Heath comes from behind Eddie Edwards, hitting the wake-up call, interrupting anything else Eddie was going to say. Josh Alexander just watched it happen and basically shrugs his shoulders. Heath leaves through the crowd before Honor No More can come out and get him. So pretty interesting stuff here. It really didn't further along the story. It didn't tell us anything we didn't already know from when Eddie Edwards talked to Josh a couple of weeks ago, but it did flesh out what Eddie's been talking about clearly and precisely for everyone to understand if they were a little confused about what he was talking about. And if you're still confused what he's talking about, Eddie's just basically saying they're going to use you and abuse you and put you in like 300 title matches in a 2-year span. And then once you finally lose, they're just going to get rid of you and treat you like yesterday's garbage. So that's the whole story here. That's what Eddie Edwards is going to try and convince Josh Alexander of before they get to their title match. And that would certainly be a big swerve if Josh Alexander joins Honor No More at Bound for Glory. That would definitely be interesting. And I've said it before. I think I said it during the I don't know, remember when I said it, but I had said before that Josh Alexander being in Honor No More, I wouldn't mind it. It would definitely freshen things up because currently Josh Alexander, he's a great wrestler, but his character sucks. His character is so boring. I don't really care about him as a character whatsoever. I understand that he's going to give me some great matches, and he has been putting out great matches, but the character is just not there. So if I'm putting Josh Alexander in Honor No More, would at least be something. I'm guessing a lot of Impact fans would be like, no, don't do that. That's stupid. So anyway, in the back now, we see Shera and Raj Singh, and Raj says that Shera was injured against Josh Alexander. We're rehabbing hard and we're training, and we will, and then they get cut off here because we now hear Moose and Macklin. They're arguing about last week. Moose is mad, and Macklin says this is not the time or the place. Then all of a sudden, Sami Callihan comes from behind, attacking both of them, which It looks like that's a mistake because that instantly brings Moose and Macklin back to the same side. And Macklin and Moose absolutely destroy Sami Callihan and kick him outside of the building. They find a fence with barbed wire. They wrap it around Sami Callihan before leaving him beaten outside. So Macklin somehow along the way got busted open big time on his forehead, probably just reopening his cut from emergence. So Moose and Macklin leave Sami wrapped in the barbed wire as we go to a commercial break. And that was a huge, giant mistake by Sami Callihan. And he just waited a little bit longer, maybe even 30 more seconds. It looked like Moose and Macklin were about to start fighting each other. But instead, he just got himself double teamed, beaten, and dragged outside, wrapped in barbed wire. Ridiculous. So not using his noggin, is he? After the ad break, now we see a really good highlight video of all of Masha Slamovich's wins and just absolutely destroying a bunch of women. That match next week against Deonna Purrazzo next week is going to be awesome. I have no clue who's going to win, but you might think that Vex is probably going to defend the tag titles at Bound for Glory, so maybe that means that Masha is going to win. But either way, it's going to be a great match, and I think it's the main event next week, so don't miss that one. But now it's somewhat of a debut next as Alisha Edwards comes out first. She's still wearing the orange and blue gear that get under her husband's skin, as that's New York colors, and Eddie's from Boston. He hates New York. So I like that little bit of continuity that Alisha Edwards still isn't happy with Eddie Edwards' recent actions. Now the lights go out. You never know who that could be around Impact, as many people's lights go out, but it's the Decay music that hits, and then this is going to be Jessica's debut. However, Rosemary comes out first alone, and Jessica has her own music where she talks about being sick and stuff like that. So pretty funny, I guess. Jessica then picks up Rosemary, spins her around, and Rosemary's super mad. She just wants to get Jessica trained so that they can go back for the tag titles. Jessica, like I said, is the alter ego of Havok, formerly of Decay. They came back from the darkness realm, and she was Jessica. So I still think Taya Valkyrie had something to do with that. We were told last week Taya's off shopping for something, so that's where Taya is this week. Alisha chops Jessica right away, so that doesn't do much. Rosemary yells that you're too excited. No, claps. They were clapping together and dancing. No chops. Anyway, Jessica then uses her massive size advantage to throw Alisha, who just tries to get back and start fighting. Jessica then hits the Dusty Rhodes flip-flop and fly bionic elbow of all things. Jessica then hits a massive sliding crossbody, and Alisha somehow is able to get up and counter the next attack, but Jessica easily catches a crossbody and hits the Rikishi driver for the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Jessica, who then picks up Rosemary again while celebrating, and poor Alisha Edwards never had a chance in that one. But at least Jessica didn't drop her on her head like Savannah Evans did 2 weeks ago. So anyway, man, are we getting some short matches tonight? What is going on with this match quality tonight? Anyway, this was fine. The Jessica character is okay. It's definitely kind of borderline right now. Jessica is kind of acting like Eugene, which is cringe if you think about it. If you know what I'm talking about with Eugene, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, just a lot of short matches tonight, man. So anyway, before going to an ad break, we see Time Machine. That's Sabin, Shelley, and Kushida. They're warming up for the main event 6-man tag match against Violent by Design. When Impact returns from a break, we then see Mickie James losing the Impact title to Tasha Steelz, and then how Chelsea Green beat Mickie James to make her go home. But now we're told that Mickie James has a huge announcement next week, and it's basically been looking like she's going to retire, but I doubt that it's going to be that. So I'm sure it's some other kind of announcement. Maybe she will announce that she's retired, but maybe she's not really, or maybe she just is. Who knows? But that'll be next week. And also, of course, the Impact Tag Title match, Good Brothers against Original Kingdom from the Honor No More, will start Impact next week. And the number one contenders match, Deonna Purrazzo, Masha Slamovich, will be the main event next week. So good stuff. Looking forward to that. So all of a sudden, Sami Callihan now walks out to the ringside area. He's still covered in barbed wire. He's busted open on the face, and Sami Callihan gets a microphone and says, "You think this will keep me down? This is just a normal Thursday, a party, and I like the party. So here's your invitation at Victory Road Barbed Wire Massacre." So that was a pretty interesting way to announce a pay-per-view match there, with Sammy stumbling now back to the back, still wrapped in barbed wire. So that was kind of interesting. I like that. Any way you can find something to do that is original in wrestling is usually a good thing, regardless of if it was actually good. Just the fact that it was different is cool. So anyway, now it's time for the main event already. Yep, we got through all those stupid short matches and we're already to the main event. No X Division this week, which was a shame. Anyway, Violent by Design come out, and Eric Young leads Deonna and Joe Doering, and then we get a new mashup music of Time Splitters and Motor City Machine Guns. So it's Time Machine as a trio. That's their trio's name, and a great group. This is KUSHIDA, Alex Shelley, and Chris Sabin. And speaking of great groups, we just found out last night on AEW Dynamite that a week from Sunday at All Out, it will be the Motor City Machine Guns appearing at an AEW pay-per-view. So they'll be in a 6-man tag, teaming with their old X Division friend Jay Lethal. Not only that, but the Motor City Machine Guns are going to be in the same ring with the best tag team in 2022, FTR, who they team up with TNT champion Wardlow. So if you're an old school TNA X Division fan, that match is a must watch. Sanjay Dutt is also the manager of Jay Lethal. So that's 4 of the main X Division guys during that era where Kevin Nash would always hang out with the X Division in the back, having really funny segments back there. And then anytime they have a match, it was always amazing in the ring. So that's one of my favorite eras of any division ever in wrestling. It was just highly entertaining. Great matches, great segments. What more could you want? Anyway, we went to an ad break right when Motor City Machine Gun came out. So when we return, KUSHIDA then is going to start the match with Joe Doering, of all things, who's about 3 times KUSHIDA's size. That's ridiculous. KUSHIDA tries his best, but nothing affects the big Joe Doering, who, like I said, is 3 times KUSHIDA's size. Doering then takes him down and tags in Eric Young. Shelley then tags in as well, and Motor City Machine Guns hit a double team here. Deonna tags in, and Sabin gets a blind tag from behind. Motor City hit another double team, also knocking Eric Young off the apron. KUSHIDA comes in now. They hit a triple team, but Eric Young runs in to break that up. Time Machine hit another triple team, this time on Eric, and Deanna's able to set Sabin up on the corner after that, hitting a running knee strike. So that brings it back to Violent by Design in control. Joe Doering now tags in. Sabin hits some punches, but Doering catches a crossbody, hitting a power slam and an elbow drop. Then Doering hits an amazing pose that was just hilarious. I laughed out loud right as we go to an ad break. Joe Doering is hilarious, and I definitely think he should be Impact World Champion. I still can't believe Josh Alexander beat Joe Doering. It would have been great to have Joe Doering doing these ridiculous poses with his ridiculous face, with the title and stuff in main event matches. So anyway, when we come back from the ad break, Deanna's in control here for some reason, as Sabin's now trapped in the Violent by Design corner. Eric Young now tags in. They hit a double team on Sabin. Eric then hits a neck breaker for a 2 count. Doering tags in, hitting another slam. Deonna tags in, and they hit a double team, followed by a Russian leg sweep, followed by a Doering elbow drop. So this match is just not hitting for me. This heel offense from Violent by Design is super boring, and it's probably only been a few minutes, but it seems like 20 minutes that Sabin's been isolated. Eric now tags in, and he hits a belly to back suplex for a 2 count. And at this point, I'm just counting down the minutes for the show to be over, which is never a good sign for your wrestling show. Violent by Design now use more quick tags and isolate KUSHIDA in their Sabin in their corner, but Sabin is able to counter a double team and tag in KUSHIDA, who comes in and takes out Deonna and Eric. KUSHIDA then hits a handspring elbow on Eric Young, and a Liger kick then knocks Joe Doering off the apron. Deonna then comes from behind to take out KUSHIDA, but Shelley is able to get a blind tag and surprise Deonna. Shelley hits some big chops and another blind tag, this time from Sabin, able to keep control. KUSHIDA with the 3rd blind tag in a row has Deonna all over the place, and Time Machine hit a nice triple team. Sabin then goes for the cradle shock, but Eric Young runs in to keep that from happening. And then Violent by Design all get knocked out of the ring together. Sabin dies on the Doering, KUSHIDA dies on the Eric, and something must have happened. But we didn't quite get to see what happened with Shelley. Anyway, Sabin back in the ring hits a crossbody on Deonna, but Deanna's able to turn it around for a pin himself only getting a 2 count. Sabin keeps control with Shelley's help, and then Deonna blocks a cradle shock attempt by raking the eyes. Second time he almost got caught with the cradle shock. Then Eric Young tags in, hitting a huge driver, but Shelley and KUSHIDA are there to break up the pin. Doering now runs in, and he takes them both out with a crossbody. Doering is tagged in now, and he lifts Sabin up for Eric to tag in. Doering hits a power slam. Deonna hits a top rope headbutt, and Eric hits a top rope elbow drop, all in quick succession. But somehow Chris Sabin is able to kick out of this massive triple team. But Sabin's big time in trouble now. But Sabin's able to block a pile driver. Deonna now tags in, and he knocks Shelley and KUSHIDA off the apron, keeping Sabin isolated in the match. KUSHIDA then is able to take a shot, sacrificing himself for Sabin. Then that allows Motor City Machine Gun to hit a nice double team. Eric runs in, and Time Splitters hit him with a double team too. So Doering comes in, punches all 3 men in the face. Doering wants to hit a revolution bomb here, but the numbers game catches up to him. Time Machine now hit a triple team on Doering. That makes him go out of the ring. Sabin now hits a haluva kick on Deonna as Sabin picks up Deonna for the cradle shock. But before the cradle shock is hit, Shelley hits a super kick to Deanna's face as KUSHIDA hits a Pele kick to his face as well. Then followed by Shelley hitting the cradle shock for the 1-2-3. The winners of this match by pinfall, Time Machine. Wow. So I mean, like I said, I was counting down the minutes for this match to end, but of course, the Time Machine offense was awesome, superb, elite stuff. Joe Doering is also great, but man, I've loved Eric Young his entire career. I was there in like 2004 or whatever when he first made his debut, but Eric Young's done, man. Like he can bust out a good pile driver here and there and stuff, but Eric Young matches are not it. They're not hitting. He's fine with this whole talking and stuff he says, but even that doesn't really make sense, and it's kind of repetitive at this point. So Eric Young, man, I love the guy, but he's done. And Doering was never good, so this match just didn't really hit for me, even though it was great fun to see Time Machine. 3 of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and I'm from Detroit, so I'm a big Motor City Machine Gun guy. But shoosh, this episode was average, if not below average episode of Impact. Really not good. And this tends to almost always happen when we don't get an X Division match on the episode. I don't know why they would put 2 great X Division matches on last week's episode. It would have made much more sense to have one, maybe the 4-way match last week, and then the Chris Bay versus Speedball match this week. It just would have made everything this week a little bit better if we could have had one of those 2 X Division matches. So basically last week's episode was way better and way much more important to see. You would have saw the new number 1 contender. You didn't really miss much this week. I mean, Vex retained the titles. Deonna did pin Jordynne Grace. So that did set up for next week. We got a really good episode. It should be a good title match between the Good Brothers and the OGK for the tag titles. And then the number 1 contender match between Deonna Purrazzo and Masha Slamovich is going to be must see no matter what happens. That's a can't miss match. But everything else in this episode really didn't hit and didn't really seem like you would have, if you missed this week's episode, you could have picked right back up the next week, which is never a good thing with your company. Once your audience and your fans start realizing that they can miss episodes and pick right back up, then they start watching like twice a month, and then that moves on to once a month, and then they just stop watching unless it gets good again, where they feel like they need to start watching every week. The Vincent stuff with Josh Alexander and the whole Eddie Edwards also trying to get Josh Alexander to come in the Honor No More. I mean, it seems like a fine storyline. We didn't need the announcers to tell us flat out that they're not sincere. Let us make up our own mind. So if the announcers are to be believed, then all of that's just for nothing anyway. So it's not like you're missing anything. The Mike Bennett Carl Anderson match, it was pretty good, but pretty short as well. Just a lot of striking. Not like the greatest. I did like where Killer Kelly choked out Tasha Steelz from the behind. That was pretty cool. But what was with the Jason Hutch debuting a gut check guy just for him to look like the biggest jobber chunk change piece of crap ever? Like, what was the point of that? Unless we never see him ever again in Impact. But holy crap. Let's see, I'm sick of the Gujjar Brian Myers feud. I was never that excited for it anyway. We got to the pay-per-view match, and now it looks like we're gonna have to have another pay-per-view match. Hopefully they can just wrap that up next week and we can move on to something else with the two. I don't mind Brian Myers or Gujjar. It's just I'm not feeling their feud at all. Vincent, I mean, he had a good start against Josh Alexander, but that match was like over immediately. Shira got punked out. Raj Singh didn't even get to finish his interview. I guess one of the more interesting things of the week was the Moose and Macklin were about to start fighting each other, with Sami Callihan making a huge mistake, uniting them again and getting Sami Callihan wrapped in barbed wire. Basically, if I had to guess, the barbed wire massacre match at Against All Odds is going to be a triple threat match instead of like a handicap or anything like that. So it'll be winner take all, even though there's no prize on it. So it's not like, would Moose and Macklin really fight over the pinfall if there's no like title match on the line or title shot? So anyway, the Jessica debut, it was fine. Um, it's just getting a little borderline cringe. Yeah, it's not yet, but it's very borderline, and it was just yet another super short match tonight with it was not a good night at all. I'm trying to find any redeeming qualities. Like the only redeeming qualities were the great double team and triple teams from Time Machine, but that match sucked when Honor No More was when Von by Design was in control. The other notable things were Sami Callihan getting wrapped in the barbed wire, and then of course setting up a huge match next week. I can't wait for Masha Slamovich and Deonna Purrazzo. But other than that, you could have missed this episode and not missed a damn thing, legitimately. So that's not good. Hopefully things get better. They have a new taping, so everything's going to be fresh. Oh, hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully everything's fresh when because they're taping this weekend in Dallas, so everything's going to be fresh at tape this weekend for next week, and that'll lead us up to we've got one more pay-per-view before Bound for Glory in 6 weeks. In about 4 weeks, we've got Victory Road, so that's a little awkward to have a pay-per-view so close to the biggest event of the year. But that's what we're leaning towards. So we'll see what happens. That's basically all I got. There's just so many damn short matches tonight. Nothing really progressed too much. But next week seems like it's going to be a big episode, and that'll start setting us up nicely for Bound for Glory. So I'm going to get going. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.